Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir, and what's on tap for today? Well, it's part three of the Politicon debate between Chris Hahn, attorney, leftist, liberal, pundit, Democrat, and Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire, folks. It was a long debate at Politicon. We cut it up into various parts. This is part three of debate. Pretty fiery so far in the first two rounds. Michael Knowles won by knockouts. Let's see if he can do the same thing in this part of the debate. Let's go to it and my reaction to the debate right now.
The oil.
The subject for
the
a
president
second.
left them there to protect the oil,
Chris.
not the people, the oil.
Let me change the subject for a second. So climate change is not a big, huge, is not something that scares you, right? This
No,
moment.
I don't lose sleep over it.
What are you losing sleep over in this country? What do you think the biggest threat is?
The biggest threat in the country is a collapsing of our institutions.
Like, what does that mean?
Such as
Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, give me an
a
example.
lack of faith in our institutions of our republic. So, for instance, the idea that we can't trust the Supreme Court, that we can't trust Congress or the Senate, that we can't trust to have our elections be upheld, that we actually, over time, will overturn our presidential elections if the Congress doesn't like it. That's a major issue. The erosion of our faith in our institutions comes down erosion of our political discourse. Because of this scourge of censorship and political correctness, people no longer feel that they can debate things in good faith. I mean, Chris and I are debating back and forth very much in good faith. That's a rare occurrence now. What we are told increasingly is if you don't agree with me on 100% of things, you're a hater. If you hold opinions that were perfectly fine 3 years ago, that we have, as the left, decided are no longer fine, you will lose your job, you will lose your reputation, you will lose your livelihood. That erodes trust in our public debate. Self-government requires that kind of debate, and we're losing it fast.
Is cancel culture a problem? Have we gone too far with cancel culture?
Yeah, I think we have. I think that some people get canceled too quickly for nothing. I'm with Bill Maher on that, okay? Look, do I think people should be allowed to walk around and offend people for no reason or any reason for that matter? No. But I do think that sometimes we have canceled people and pushed people aside for far too little. And I think that we have to understand in America, look, you could call yourself and ask to be called whatever you want to be called. I'm all for that. I'm all for it. Just give some people a chance to figure out what that is before you go nuts on them, and then move on. If you have to tell them 3 times, it's a problem. But first and second time, cut them some slack.
Then do you think it's fair, I'm staying with you, Chris,
Yeah.
do you think it's fair that the president has been labeled a racist, that he's been labeled a fascist, that he's been labeled an authoritarian? Do you think that's hyperbole, or do you think it's a fair assessment?
I think that the president, I don't know that I would go ahead and call him a racist, but I do think he has pandered to racists, and that bothers me. I think Charlottesville is the perfect example of that. Charlottesville was a clear-cut case of racism. It was a racist group that resulted in the death of a protester. You might not like the way she protested, you might not like the groups, but it was a racist group out there chanting racist things, and the president had one thing to do that day, and that was to condemn it, and he didn't.
He did.
And that's just one example of him pandering to that.
That's just another example of why these leftists, they just keep spinning the same narrative over and over and over and over again. They never look at the words. They never cite the words outright. They just cite the words, or they take out the clause or the sentence or the, part of the paragraph that fits the narrative that they want to spin. And that's exactly what Chris, right? There were good people on both sides. That's the spin that they take. They don't go down a couple of paragraphs where basically, President Trump also said that there were those people that were racist, that were chanting those words, and I'm paraphrasing here, okay, were basically to be condemned. And they were truly, hateful people. But when the people came down there were people over there that were against the taking down of monuments. And amongst those people that didn't want the monuments taken down, unfortunately, were also some of these white supremacists, race haters, bigots, whatever you want to call them. But there, you don't have to, if you don't want to take monuments down, that doesn't mean that you're a racist or a bigot. But if there's people on your side, there's going to be times when you're going to be on the side of an issue. I'm just saying, let's say, for example, that you say that you're not for abortion. And let's say there's a white supremacist that says he's not for abortion either. Well, what the left is going to say is, because the white supremacist says he doesn't like abortion and you don't like abortion, you're a white supremacist now. That's basically how it goes, you know? And Chris and these people know the word games that are being played, but they continue to do exactly as they've done, because you know what? It scores points, it scores votes, it gets donations, and it works in many cases to get their point across.
That kind of culture. And I think the president needs to be above that. Presidents need to have grace. They need to rise above this kind of thing. They need to rise above it. Some of you might like the fact that this president is scrappy and he gets down in the mud, but it's not sustainable as a society. It's leading to the society being increasingly at each other's throats. And he's got to push back from it. He's got to lead. He's got to be the one to bring people together, not push people apart, and that bothers me.
Do you think you said he did condemn it. Do you think that his statements in Charlottesville, I mean, that was over a year ago, but do you think that his statements in Charlottesville were enough? Do you think that what Chris is saying about his responsibility to lead was displayed that day?
I think, it is simply a matter of fact that he did explicitly condemn white supremacists and racists at Charlottesville, and he did it repeatedly, and he's done it repeatedly on the campaign trail. You might still object to his rhetoric, but he has repeatedly, for years and years, condemned racists. He even one time said, how many times do I have to condemn David Duke? I hate David Duke. I don't like David Duke. So he's done that repeatedly. And yet, most people don't know that because of a mainstream media narrative that President Trump is a racist, because in that case they explicitly lied about what he said. These words have meaning. One of my favorite examples of this is the CNN. King was on the radio show with our friend David Webb, and she was talking to David Webb, and she accused him of exploiting racism and exploiting his white privilege, which was a big shock to David Webb because David Webb is a black man, and she had just never seen him before. She didn't call him a white privileged guy because she thought it was true. She did it because it was politically convenient, and if he had been a white guy, she could have gotten a lot of play with it. That's very dangerous. Words have meaning. There is no evidence that President Trump is a racist or an anti-Semite.
Words do have meaning. The president's words have more meaning than anybody else's words, and he needs to choose them carefully. Last night, he tweets out, something big just happened. Now, yeah, something big did happen. The president's words move markets. They scare people. When the president tweets, it scares people. It moves.
And when the president tweets, if it scares some people, it scares people on the left, but it makes people on the right love it. So what difference does it matter? You say it scares, I say it doesn't scare. I say it loves, you said it hates. It's all in the ears. You know what? What does that mean? You're just going to mute the president? He can't speak any words? He can say whatever the hell he wants to say. The president moves markets. So what if it moves markets? It moves markets up, it moves market down. Barack Obama said some stuff, move markets up, move markets down. Barack Obama said some stuff, I didn't like it, some people liked it. Some people hated it, some people loved it. You know what? That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes, Chris. But you guys want to make everything about whatever Trump says bad all the time. Fascist. What the hell are you talking about? I mean, it doesn't even make any freaking sense. It makes no freaking sense, whatsoever.
Markets. His words matter more than mine, more than yours, more than anybody else's on the planet, and he does not choose them carefully. And that is leading to problems in this country. It has led to problems in the markets as well from time to time, from what he said. And he needs to be more careful with that. I think you would agree with that. I think you need to agree.
And I don't think in this regard here, I don't think anybody really won this round here, this part of the debate. I will say that the only thing that sort of stuck out at me, other than completely, basically saying that Trump is a fascist, he's a racist, he's bigoted, he's this, he's that, he has to choose his words wisely, he moves markets, When he tweets, people are scared, people hate it, they don't like it. Other than that type of stuff coming from Chris Hahn, the only thing in cancel culture, the thing that Michael talked about, that interview um, there where the lady was talking to one of the political pundits who happens to be black, and when she basically said, "You've got white privilege," he says, "I don't know what you're talking about, honey, but I'm black can be." And she was just shocked because in her mind she has a narrative, and she's going in to say, "I got this guy, I got him. It's going to be great for a soundbite for me and my career." And she finds out basically that she has egg on her face because nobody on her staff told her that she's actually interviewing a black man. She happens to be a black journalist and didn't realize that the person that she's interviewing is black, and says that he needs to apologize for his white privilege for where he is in the world of sports, where he is in the worlds of politics, where he is in the world of punditry. And that's exactly what the left do. If they can try to get you, they can go 40 before you were born. They'll take the sins of your father and they'll paste them onto you. If they can get you out of office, get you out of a job, cancel you from a show, cancel you from, a political, political party, anything that they can do to get rid of you, they'll go ahead and cancel you just like that for thinking something wrong, for saying something wrong, for voicing your opinion. It's unbelievable. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Let us know what you think in the comments below. This was part 3 of the debate between Michael Knowles and Chris Hahn. Folks, my final thought, when you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, take care and stay safe.